Thank you for staying with us. This is still Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. The political landscape in Nigeria is about to take a new turn. Just recently, we had a new development. The Labour Party candidate for the 2023 presidential election, Mr. Peter Obi, has come up with an idea. Not just an idea this time. There's actually a proposal to run for a single term in office. And we understand that the coalition, talking about the likes of Atiku Abubakar, El-Rufai'S, and others, are actually considering this proposal from Mr. Peter Obi. And here's what it looks like. Mr. Peter Obi ran for presidency in 2023, under the umbrella of the Labour Party. Now we have President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, a southerner in power as president. And in Nigeria, we have this rotational presidency of a thing, even though it's not written in the constitution, but it is widely believed that if we have someone from the south spending 8 years, then we should have someone from the north, the northerner, spending 8 years, and it should be rotated like that. Now Mr. President is there already, and of course he's bidding to run again in 2027. He has gotten a lot of endorsements from people saying, oh, he should be their candidate. From his party, the APC, they've actually endorsed him. Even his camp in the National Assembly have given him what I'll call an automatic ticket for 2027 presidency. That's talking about the APC, just for him to complete the 8-year term for Southern Nigeria. So if anyone from Southern Nigeria is contesting against President Tinubu, the fear and the agitation from those from the north is that if another northerner comes in afresh, he would have to spend 8 years, thereby extending the rule of southerners to 12 years unbroken. And the northerners wouldn't like that. Now, Peter Obi has come up with an idea, a proposal to say, you know what, 4 years is enough for me to transform Nigeria. He talked about economy, he talked about cutting down cost of governance, he talked about the power sector, and so many other things he can achieve within 4 years. And he's saying, this is my proposal. He has submitted his proposal officially to the coalition for them to review it, saying, I am willing to run for just a single tenure. Now, that is quite new in Nigeria. This is the first time we are seeing someone come out to say that I'll just stay for a term in office. And after that, he actually said by May 28, 2031, if elected, he would be leaving office honorably. That he is a man of integrity and he should be trusted. And that is exactly what he intends to do. Joining us on this conversation this morning is a public affairs analyst, Mr. Ladiji Alabi. Thank you, Mr. Alabi, for joining us this morning.
Good morning to you, Daniel.
Femi, it's a pleasure to be back on the show this morning.
Thank you very much.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. And you guys are looking good. It seems you guys, maybe journalists, you have this special cake from the national cake that you guys eat, not like we average Nigerians.
This has to be a spiritual cake.
Oh, fantastic. Maybe you guys should cut part of it for me.
Thank you once again. Looking at the political landscape in Nigeria. Now, this is quite new. This development of the Labour Party candidate, Mr. Peter Obi, coming out to say that he's willing to run for just a single term in office. Some Nigerians are saying this might just be a genius strategy. Because for those in the north, this is the only thing they want to hear. They have their fears. Why should another southerner run for presidency and come and spend 8 years when you have just 4 years left for southerners? Now, he has come out boldly to say, you know what? 4 years is enough for me. 4 years is all I need to transform Nigeria. What do you have to say about this proposal?
Well, let me start by saying, well, for some of us, it's not something new. Don't forget, former President Goodluck Jonathan also proposed a single term, 6 years, for presidents in Nigeria. Use your 6 years and go away. But it did not see the light of the day with the National Assembly. For His Excellency, former Governor Peter Obi and the Labour Party candidate in the 2023 election, I think that's just the only card he can play with the Northerners. Don't forget, he had a very good numbers from the Southeast, South in the last election and maybe into the Middle Belt. But in the core North, he did not have it really good. That was why, maybe he couldn't win the presidential election officially, like what INEC declared. So it needs, all regions need each other. That's the reality. That's why you see what Mr. President is doing himself, to see as many governors he can bring to his fold, to see how he can do permutations. So I want to drop allegations or allegedly saying he wants to drop Shetima for another person, doing this. Everybody is looking at how do I, show people of other regions that they are important in my plan. So, and the most reasonable thing for, Peter Obi this time around is to tell the North, see, I know power must return to the North. This is a consociational arrangement. Yes, like you mentioned, it's not constitutional, but it is an arrangement that, political party and government, put in place just to, give a sense of belonging to people. It is, if you study political science, it is part of what, is obtainable in representational democracy. Just to give people, sometimes people in the minority, let me bring it down home. If you look at Osun State very well, it is just an understandable arrangement. The first civilian governor, late Governor Isiaka Adetunji Alikpi, was from Osun, West. Baba Kande was from Osun Central. Former Governor Aregbesola from Osun East. Then we are back to the West now. If the power must leave the West now in Osun, it should be going to either the Central or the East. Do you get? So that is the consociational arrangement. Now, Peter Obi understand that. Now, the current President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is running a southern arrangement of 4 years. The North wouldn't want a southerner who will come and say, okay, so we want to take power afresh and use another 8 years. So if he has all it takes to convince the North, I know a couple of the big wigs there, because, the Northerners always have this fear. Power is like what they live for. They always want to be in power. A few years outside power, you see all of them are saying, oh, this and that, this and that, this and that. So how do you convince them that truly you are going to use this 4 years and, they get your support? But now the question is it now that the Northerners are now serious about good governance? Is it now? Don't forget, before the 2023 election, even we saw videos of the same El-Rufai, one of the people leading the coalition now, said no. If we try Muslim ticket in Kaduna and it can work in Nigeria. They said don't vote. We had one of the imams over there said don't vote for what do they call unbelievers? In Arabic, don't vote for them. No, because what they care about is the religion. They care less about the Almarjiri boys. They care less about, we saw a lot of proposal before the 2023 election. Niger State, you have this vast area of land that we can use for agriculture. What can we do with it? Benue, Plateau, Kano, Kaduna, you have your area of strength. What can you do with it? But they were blindfolded with religion. Now let everybody go and eat religion. Let everybody go to their imams. Let everybody go to their pastors and eat religion now. Because it's not working. So, what is the sincerity? That is the question Nigerians should be asking.
All right. Now, the sincerity, and, some will say P2B, for whatever he represents now, it's another Nigerian politician. Right. So, either he's the Labour Party, or he has the obedient, or he's somebody who has ruled before. And then, Nigerians will say they are almost the same. The ruling class is the same. Actually, now, different nomenclatures, different parties, different ideologies, if there's anything called ideology, by the way. Now, he's saying only 4 terms. 4 years of a single term is okay for him. And if actually he didn't get it now in 2027, by the way, as openly inferred that he will be running. That's official now. Now, if he didn't get it by 2027, by 2031, one will say by convention, arrangement, it will be the turn of the North. If they spend their 8 years, that will be 2040, whatever, It is 2031. That will be 2039.
39.
How old will Obi be by then? He's in his 60s right now.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So these are some of the permutations to say, you can say, humanly speaking, this is his only shot as far as political calculation is concerned in Nigeria, by what we see, because we can't predict the future, but by what we know. Now, one would say that's a strategic move by himself to say, I can do this. I only need 4 years. Now, there are many Nigerians that people will say, that's what you people will say. You get there, then you see the allure of power, the affluence, the everything, and then you see, okay, you know, Nigerian politicians will tell you, I'm not planning to run again. It's my people. My people said, you can't leave now. And then you see something coalition for somebody, something for better tomorrow for somebody. Now, is this going to be put in black and white? Number two, is it going to be legally binding? He has made a proposal to the coalition. Another point is this. When he was asked on that X space about coalition, he said he's open to talks from the coalition. But let me read what he said. He said, if the coalition is not about stopping the killings in Benue, Zamfara, how to revive our economy, how to make our industries productive, how to put food on the tables of Nigerians, count me out. Nigeria is currently at war. We need to do something about it. Meaning, yes, coalition is okay, but it must be focused on something. Now, the issue is the people in the coalition. What are the antecedents? The people he is going to work with, if actually the coalition conversation is on, these are the people that many of them have been perpetually in power since 1999. The only time they have not been in power, many of them, is only 2 years. And that's why they are singing in this way. So if you are going to work with people that you have dissociated yourself from before, how will that work out for you? And him saying 4 years, and every Nigerian politician, everybody knows in Nigeria, you can't take them for their word.
Well, thank you.
So why should Nigerians cut Peter Obi a slack?
Well, thank you, Femi, for asking that important question. For one, I will agree many Nigerian politicians speak with both sides of their mouth. But if you look at antecedent of Peter Obi over the years, well, you may want to cut him some slack.
Why should they?
Thank you. Because this is a man who has lived by his words. At least, see, what makes, now there is no country anywhere in the world where politicians are angels. We are all humans. But at least when you say something today, 4 years later, are you still standing on that? I'm not calling him a perfect person or whatever, but we are speaking to the conversation of, will he not get there and say, okay, oh no, because I've seen the affluence of power, no, 4 years will not be enough. Now, he is someone that you can at least say, don't forget, we have politicians in Nigeria who have said, no, if I did not win these primaries, whoever the party brings up, I will support fully. And they went against that. We are seeing people who say, oh no, I wanted to become the president. I will not take a ministerial position. And they are now minister. So at least for who Peter Obi is, for trajectory of things we've seen about him. This is the same man who we've seen document. We said that, okay, so after your time in office, you are entitled to this also. And he wrote a letter rejecting it. This is a man who said when he was the governor, they made a proposal that, okay, so Anambra State must have a house in Lagos and one in Abuja. And they will have domestic staff, they will have vehicles there. And he asked them, for what purpose? They said, so when you travel to Lagos, you live there. And he asked them, am I the governor of Lagos or governor of Anambra State? Am I governing in Abuja or in Anambra State? Now, so some of these things at least give him, a kind of edge over an average Nigerian politician who most times think about themselves. Now, you speak about the people he's going to surround himself with. I am one of the people who believe that problem of Nigeria doesn't start from the ground. It's a top-bottom issue. Now, when people want to say, maybe it is we, the society, that produce the politician, I ask them, tell me from 1999, what's the percentage of new people you see who enter Nigerian politics? it's still the same people, rotating themselves. In fact, at the time you see some people in the National Assembly, they go there to sleep because they don't have any meaningful contribution. Old age is telling on them. Now, if the head gets it right, we've seen an example from countries. Magufuli in Tanzania, what time did the new president of Ghana got in there? The military guy in Burkina Faso. If the head sit up, if the head is not corrupt, you can bring corruption down to the barrier. It is not that all other countries that we see that are doing good, they don't have corruption running in those countries. Right. But corruption is not eating, higher percentage of their economy compared to what the good intentions they have. But what do we have here? We have people who are, now, Femi, in the last 1 or 2 weeks, we've seen documents, CFOs of properties in Abuja that the landlord of Mr. President, on Wiki, has allegedly allocated to his children.
He has refuted it, by the way.
Well, he refuted it, but there are documents
and he said there is no harm and it's not unconstitutional for
them to acquire millions of dollars property.
Even as much is done according to the law.
And this is what now they would. This is the same man who defended. Is there a crime in them traveling with me? Is there people who speak? I'm coming, Daniel. Let me just land here now. So if a public servant or another civil servant now try to acquire land for their own children, will you not say, where do you get the money from? What business has his children, Joachim and his brother, done that they deserve to acquire millions of dollars property in Abuja? Then the question I ask myself, if Wike's children have so much land in Abuja, what will Sheyi Tinubu and his brother have? What will the daughter have? What will the wife of the president have in Abuja, even when she's complaining?
Why are you singling those out? So the question is, what will Peter Obi's children to not have?
No, wait. Now, what I'm saying is, it's not about singling them out. Yeah. And if I'm singling them out, they are the ones in the eyes of the storm.
Absolutely.
We've seen the convoy of Sheyi Tinubu. We've seen his convoy. We've seen him go around. Why should they? Because I'm asking, what business have they done to acquire such properties? If you are giving properties to your... What I'm trying to say in terms of this is that if the head is not corrupt, the followership will sit tight. But if the head feels like, let me acquire as much as I can, the followership also want to live well. An average Nigerian...
You didn't answer that question of coalition. The people is going to work with the coalition. These are some of the people that Nigerians have identified that they have always been part of the problem.
Femi, even in the current APC that you have today, don't you have people who are doing exceptionally okay? Don't you have people who you can vouch for that? No, this is a good person.
Okay.
You have. But the problem is the percentage of people who uses their sense to govern is quite low. And what I'm saying again is that if you as the head of the family, Femi, will not spend frivolously, your children will sit tight. You have all it takes to tell them you should not do that. But if you as the head care less, that is where Peter Obi must be careful. If they agree with him on this condition, he needs to be careful. A lot of push will come. Don't forget, we've spent billions of nairas on unnecessary things. We buy new private jet for the president, buy Cadillac Escalade, buy yacht, buy all these things, sponsor international trips and all. And we are not careful about this thing. If he cannot cut down on all those things, then there will be a problem for him.
All right, Mr. Alabi. Let's take a critical look at His Excellency, Mr. Peter Obi, as a person. His records are in public domain. He has his record. He's been there. As governor of Anambra State, here's one man who was able to cut down on spending, on expenses. Okay, cutting down on government spending. He's a man who is openly known to be against wastage in government. He believes government is wasting too much, that the cost of governance is one of the problems we have in Nigeria. And he's also known as someone who has always stood for integrity, always fighting corruption. So he has his records quite clearly, undisputable. During the campaigns, he was open to questions about everything he did in Anambra. He has a very impressive resume. And that was why a lot of Nigerians flocked, to him in the 2023 elections. Now, looking at the 2023 elections, let's Take a look at Lagos State, for instance. Even in Lagos State, which happens to be the stronghold of the APC, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's stronghold, Peter Obi beat him in Lagos, okay, polling 582,000, okay, compared to APC's 572,000. And many political analysts and watchers have even said that the margin was actually quite larger than that the election was still rigged. But still, with everything, Peter Obi still managed to beat the president in his own stronghold, in his own domain. Now, Nigerians are saying, by coming out with this kind of a proposal, this proposition, that so far, if we look at the South, that the only person, the only promising person who can actually beat Tinubu in 2027 is Peter Obi. Do you agree with that?
Well, it's not even about beating or not beating. The reality is that in the APC, already the Senate President, the Speakers of Rep, have said that, you know, it's a thing. In fact, by their own plans, which I think they are very, very unguided statement, is that they don't even want any other candidate. It is only Tinubu. That's authoritarianism, and it doesn't work in a democratic.
They are speaking for their party anyway. That's for the APC.
He said it. He said they prayed other parties don't have, you know, a candidate so that he can only be Tinubu on the ballot. And I also pray that their own party, you know, any party that will not do well for Nigeria will not have a candidate. That's the reality. Now, but talking about being the only candidate that can, you know, maybe struggle the South with the current president. Well, in Nigeria, we have abundance of, qualified, eminently qualified people. But how many of them are coming out? That's why, you see, we need to encourage more people, more promising Nigerians. Even in the Southwest, I can name 2, 3, 4, 5 of them who are eminently qualified. But are they ready to come into the ring? Will Nigerians support them? That's the question. You know, most of the time, our definition of a good politician is a politician who gives us money. And that's why I love one of the clergymen on Sunday when he was preaching. He asked people, the money you collected in 2023, is it still sufficient for you today? Many of these eminently qualified Nigerians, don't forget, this same Peter Obi, before he entered the ring to contest for the presidency, he was like the beautiful bride. Everybody was praising him. All the Dipo Awojide, JJ Omoju of this world, who now becomes his number one enemy. Even Reno Amokri, who now turned himself to number one nominator. They were all singing his praise. But the moment it is against their pot of soup, will they not come and ask you? Now everybody is praising.
Peter Obi is known to be a stingy man, according to them.
Of course, yes. He's an economic, he's a businessman. Business people don't spend money anyhow. They are not Yahoo people.
But don't you think Nigerians need a stingy man as president?
No. I'm not even, no, before you get there. See, that's why I said Nigerians believe that the person who gives them money is the good politician. Everybody is praising Dr. Akinwumi Adesina. Oh, you did well with AFDB. Yes, we saw him when he was the Minister of Agriculture in Nigeria. He did well too. But let that man come out. Let him come out that I want to become the president of this country. That is when you will see even people from the APC tell you his mom was from Akwa Ibom. His dad is from, Niger Republic. That is the kind of terrible politics we play. So, in terms of being the only person, I would not agree that Peter Obi is the only person. I would say we have a lot of eminently qualified people in both the Southwest, Southeast, South, North Central, whatever in Nigeria.
I'm talking about the person who has
currently, the only person who have thrown his... Okay, so, like Femi mentioned, I've not seen it, but he has mentioned that he has officially said he's going to be running. And in reality, currently, amongst the politicians from the southern region, who has the clout? We said it before the 2023 election, a lot of PDP boys were like, Okowa has more clout in the Southeast. And even in his own state, when he was the vice presidential candidate of his party, he was he lost the election.
Although arguably speaking, when you talk about Okowa, one will say it doesn't have that.
No.
Another person will say it doesn't have that cloud, a P2B cloud.
No.
Actually,
a lot of PDP boys said, I can bring you out to
what I'm saying is this: anybody can say anything. Even some will disagree with that opinion that okay, because P2B beat Tinubu in Lagos, it can always repeat that. The question is, it is Nigeria is bigger than Lagos.
Of course, yes.
Actually. And what's even the total number of votes that they returned in Lagos? Less than 1 million.
All right, gentlemen, we are due for a break. I'd like you to address that once we come back from this break. Please stay with us.
Across the state of the Living Spring, you will discover how Governor Adeleke's administration is driving the economic growth of the state. Stay informed and engaged with Living Spring Updates, where we will delve deep into the details of ongoing infrastructural projects, new initiatives in healthcare, education, and other impactful strides being made across the state. Tune in every Wednesday on Western Spring Television at 6 p.m. and every Saturday on Rave 91.7 FM at exactly 2:30 p.m. You can follow us on all our social media platforms at Western Spring Television and at Rave 917 FM as we tell the story of how Governor Adeleke is shaping Osun into the beacon of development and opportunity.
Living Spring Update is a production of the Office of the Spokesperson to the Governor, Governor's Office, Osogbo.
Thank you for staying with us. This is still Morning Spring on Western Spring Television, and we've been talking about the coalition and the new development of Mr. Peter Obi proposing a single tenure presidency for himself, saying he is willing to run for a single term of 4 years. According to him, 4 years is enough for him to transform Nigeria, enough for him to transform the economic situation, enough for him to transform the...
How many of them has the clout to say we have people who are ready to campaign for me for free? Because what is common in Nigerian politics is people, I will not mention names now, but I met one of the commissioners of a former governor in this state. People, Nigerians have always said it that, they mobilize people to welcome the governor, they do this. He officially made that statement in a private conversation. I think he lost his guard and, he mentioned, I said, when I needed to go and mobilize people for the governor, we spent so amount of money. Nigerians believe so much because our politicians have weaponized poverty. That is why 1,500 naira will be so important to some people, because they do not have money to eat. That is why political face cap and all these, whatever. Now, but out of them, who has the clout, who can say, okay, beyond my state, I have the clout in 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15 other states, where I have people who can volunteer to say, we carry this man on top of our head. Well, yes, you can mention Peter Obi's name. A lot of people thought, the obedience people who worked for him in the 2023 election would die off after the election. But I think they've moved into even organizing themselves as an organization now, where they drop public opinions, do all those things, and also galvanize. I've seen a lot of these guys working to make sure that some of the errors they committed in the 2023 election, by not having agents in some of the polling units, they are working on that. They've constituted this obedient movement across a lot of states
Mr. Labi,
Nigeria.
Sorry to cut in. How did Peter Obi manage to do that? He wasn't spending money. He wasn't sharing money. People followed him voluntarily. How did he manage to pull that?
Well, once in a while, there are some people, it happens in our own day-to-day life too. Even in offices. You just have someone that you think, this person, the way I look at Femi, his way of life, his simplicity, I like him. That can attract people to you. And most of the time, when you speak to people, when people see humanity in you, don't forget, this is a man who, when he was the governor, you know, there is natural disaster somewhere, is there. He has invested, even in his private life, has invested so much in education. I think that's what, and if you look at the set of people who are attracted to PWB, maybe the younger generations, the educated people who can think outside the box, who have read, who maybe for someone who have read, who have seen the way politics is being played somewhere else, somebody you cannot convince with 5,000 naira. I'm not sure somebody will come and tell Femi Ojona that I will give 5,000 naira vote for me. Look at the person. Is that enough to do me a monthly data? That's not possible. Do you get? So I think that's maybe his way of life. Maybe it's just one of those things that happens. You know, don't forget President Muhammadu Buhari also had the same kind of, maybe because some Nigerians are also tired. Because when Buhari was coming, Nigerians were tired of, you know, the PDP administration, and coupled with the fact that APC were good with the instrument of propaganda. And a lot of in fact, we saw a lot of Nigerians who named their children after, you know, Buhari. When Jonathan was coming in, we saw a lot of Nigerians who named themselves their children Goodluck.
Jonathan.
Of course, yes. So maybe those are the things that work. But will that transform into doing what is, because what Nigerians are yearning for now is, see, I was discussing with one of my big brothers one day, and he said, see, Nigerians are not asking for too much. Give us good roads, good health care, good education,
constant electricity.
Constant electricity. Let us be able to put food on our table. In fact, whatever you do in Aso Rock, whatever you do in the state government houses, Nigerians don't care. But when those things are not in place, there is problem.
All right. Now, you know, you talked about, I think Daniel asked why he was able to pull, PWB was able to pull 6.1 million votes, actually, in the last election, which is quite huge. Even the winner won with 8 million plus. Now, if we can cast the mind back during that time, many dynamics played out. Now, many political watchers, and I've spoken with some of them before, who said, at that time, apart from PWB being possibly relatively younger than some of those persons, and he's known because we had other persons as well who are younger, is the fact that many persons feel Mr. Buhari or former President Buhari hasn't done well. And the APC, you know, were not really doing well, in which some of the current members of the APC who possibly didn't belong to that camp has been saying Buhari did bad. And that's why Nigeria is where we are right now, you know, castigating him. To say some feel, okay, would rather, you know, the lesser of all the evils is this one. And his vote resonated with the P2B, I mean, with the young people who, you know, mobilized for the Obi'S movement and all of those things. And some will even say, if Yemi Osinbajo has emerged as the candidate of the APC, P2B may not have such huge following from the young people, because there is a way many persons believe the Yemi Osinbajo thing in a kind of way. Now, we are far beyond that. This is where we are right now. Everybody knows now, and in political calculation, the North needs the South.
And the South needs the North.
Buhari was having almost 10, 11 million votes in his first 3 attempts, and he couldn't emerge until he had to, you know, liars with the South, and the South needs. And
don't forget the issue of overvoting in the North, underage voting in the North,
and all of those things
that brought about these numbers.
Because even when he was now elected, that really didn't translate in having a very big chunk of votes that we currently have. Now, the coalition are meeting. Now, if he's going to be working with the coalition, there are some persons that are not quite comfortable with some of these coalition leaders because they believe they are being part of the problem. Now, the thing is, you might have to work with them. You can't just do it.
He doesn't have a choice.
And the context, you know, that played out in 2023 is quite different from what is playing out now. 2023 was about somebody that has used his 8 years in office leaving. Now you have somebody that will use 4 years and that is in power already. You know, the dynamics are not the same.
Course, yes.
So somebody is leaving to another, giving it to another person of the same party or any other person. Somebody has used 4 years or we use 4 years and give it to another person. Now the coalition is meeting. Atiku is, you know, is looking like he wants to contest again. If actually we emerge is another thing. Now, P2B is saying 4 years is okay for me. Now, many Nigerians will see it as a bait to say, let me just be there. Whatever I can say right now, so just be there. So, can he emerge? The coalition, as we currently have, who will be the arrowhead? We are hearing Rotimi Amaechi. We are hearing Aregbesola, former Osun governor. We are hearing Atiku Abubakar himself. Many of these persons must say El-Rufai. And if Peter Obi works with them right now, are they enough fit for Ebola Ahmed Tinubu?
Well,
who is the current president?
Femi, I don't want us to play God for anybody.
No, we can't. We are not, and we will never do that.
And also, the biggest coalition.
No, the contest I painted.
I'm coming.
No, hold on, sir. The contest I painted was the antecedent of the coalition.
I'm not even talking about.
Do they have the trust of the people?
The point I'm trying to bring out is this: Nigerian political class know that Nigerians one of our weakest. From 1999 to 2023, the number of voting drops at every election cycle. Have you checked that, Femi?
It has never been up to 40%. It gets dropping to 20%.
It gets dropping because voting apathy happens at every election cycle. And that is one of the things political class weaponize to perfect their rigging. Now, a lot of people complained. Let me go to the question of Peter Obi working with these people. A lot of conversation people had then. In fact, I saw someone who said, if Peter Obi has 1 million votes across Nigeria, he will give somebody money. I don't know if he fulfilled that promise. Now, a lot of what they said then was that he doesn't have the structure.
Exactly. They say he doesn't have structure.
And also, don't forget, in each of these regions, you need some of these big wigs to help you. It is beyond people just voting for you. Who follows your vote up to the collation center? We saw videos of, was it in Enugu State or whatever, that a Labour Party agent was beaten out of the collation center. But, and I will not mention the state. I was privileged to be in the state during the 2019 election. And one of the biggest politicians in that state walked into the collation center.
For what?
Of course, to protect his vote. I saw him with my korokoro eyes. He walked into the collation center at the local government level that this is my vote. I will follow it. Some of our reporters who went to cover Edo election.
What happened to the agents? What happened to the agents?
Now, see, Daniel, agents, they can pick you and I as agents. I don't have the same political clout.
So you should have the trust of you should trust the agents.
Now, the problem with Nigerian type of politics is, we saw what happened in River State. And INEC said, no, we go ahead with this. Mutilated results.
Nigerians call it a rape of democracy.
Of course. So if you don't have big wigs like Atiku, like Rotimi Amaechi, like Aregbesola, now, you may not, I don't also sometimes like the kind of politics Aregbesola plays. But in reality, Femi, to get to power, you need both the good and the bad boys.
Of course.
You need them. That is why. Now, who was part of the people who were leading Tinubu's campaign in 2023? Tinubu cannot say he did it all alone. No matter how his master strategies, he needed all these people. I know El-Rufai will be part of people who will propose a Shetima to him. El-Rufai was forefront of his campaign. He was forefront of telling them in the north that, see, a Muslim ticket will work. It is for the benefit of the north. So, if you don't have all these people to help you monitor your vote, to play the game of politics with you, how do you then get power? He has tried it. He has seen that, okay, even if the average Nigerians vote for him, he get this so and so number. There were allegations of voting suppression in Lagos. There are even allegations of his numbers were dropped in Lagos.
Local government, to be precise.
Now, if you don't have people who are the big wigs to say, we follow up this, your vote, up onto the level of coalition, then you have a problem. Right. Do you get? So, and saying politics is a game of saying what you need to say to get what you want to get.
Exactly, and that's why many persons will say, is another Nigerian politician.
No. What he
is he not?
No. So what he now does with what he says is now the question we should be asking ourselves.
All right.
But
Benjamin,
you think we can make it a legal document? This proposal of Mr. Peter,
Well, that's
can it be made a legal document so that it becomes binding?
Well,
legally.
it is a consociational arrangement.
Yeah.
Don't forget, even rotation, quote and unquote, is not known to the Constitution of
It's a
Nigeria.
convention, yeah.
It's a convention. The only thing they need to do is to follow it in good spirit.
We must go ahead.
He must be a man of his word. When it's a kind of, okay, Femi, you and I, we want to get something from Daniel. Femi, if you can support me to get this thing for Daniel, I will give you this so percentage. Now, what makes me a man of integrity? Like he mentioned, he said, quote and unquote, Peter Obi has been, started to be a man of integrity. How do you now prove that integrity?
Arguably so, by the way.
Well, if you can now prove that you are a truly man of integrity, that is when people meet you. You do with your word.
Right.
And you mentioned something very important the other time that I must just quickly brush out. It would have been a very sweet election in 2023. Imagine we had people like Professor Yemi Osinbajo, Peter Obi, Akinwumi Adesina. We have options to pick from. We have options.
There will always be options.
No, there are no options.
All right.
There are no options.
All right.
We don't have any options.
The biggest question now is, even if the Peter Obi will emerge as a front runner.
Of course, yes. That's another conversation.
That's a big one.
Following our conversation in good faith.
All right.
If he has proposed